All right, so Georgia won a clunker, but they did win. Kirby Smart after the game said it's a win and you can get after their asses in practice this week, and that's a good thing. They are off until they play Alabama. Ari, we saw Alabama in person on Saturday, and then we sat down and devoured that Georgia-Kentucky game. I'm a little worried about the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be kind of nice to talk about Georgia for a few minutes without ranting about the punt at the end of the game. But yes, I am. The thing that really stood out to me last night while watching that game was, while Georgia was on offense, I didn't know who was going to go make a play. Like for Georgia's offense and what we've seen and the players that have come through there the last 3 years, it's really kind of a hard thing. And you got to remember that I was also watching the Georgia game simultaneously at the same time as the Texas game. And I see 4 receivers on Texas's team that could break through at any point and make a play. And granted, one team was playing Kentucky and one team was playing UTSA.
We also saw Texas do that against Michigan.
The point remains that Texas has really, really elite skill position players.
Yeah.
So, my thought process here is that Georgia still is unequivocally probably one of the top 5 teams in America. I don't think that there's a single rational coach that would choose to play them. But also, too, left that narrow win thinking that they're probably going to lose a few games this year if they don't figure something out on offense.
Yeah, and part of it, like seeing Tate Ratledge taken off on a cart during the game was just that was frustrating. Yeah. Tate's one of the best offensive linemen in the country. He's the best podcaster among all college football players. He's going to take our jobs when he's done playing football, but he's going to make a lot of money playing football first. But you watch that offensive line, and look, they're going against Deion Walker. You've seen Deion Walker on this show, the Kentucky defensive lineman. There's not really anybody else like him in the country. He's a tough deal to handle. But South Carolina handled him okay. Like it's not the same thing. Obviously, when somebody's playing Georgia, everybody gets up for Georgia. But Georgia's offensive line, once Tate Ratledge is out, doesn't look quite cohesive. Now, maybe after a week of practice with everybody together, we'll see what's going on with Tate. But maybe that gets better. And you saw it with Alabama against USF a couple weeks ago when they didn't have Caden Proctor or Elijah Pritchett, the 2 starting tackles in the game for the first 3 quarters. Pritchett came in, everything got better. And then you saw him against Wisconsin with both of them, and it was completely different. So it may be that's Georgia just needs to get some time for that offensive line to gel. But 30 carries for 102 yards. Now, they got better as the game went on. I thought Trevor Etienne running the ball at the end of the game was pretty good.
Yeah, and that's what Georgia does with the athletes that they have on their team. They even if they're in a close game, at a certain point, they're going to break through because they're just going to wear down their opposition. But, I mean, do you agree with what I'm saying in terms of the explosive offensive play? I mean, who's that? Is it Dominic Lovett? Is that the number one?
He's probably their number one receiver. He's probably the one Carson Beck is looking to first. But, you saw Oscar Delp, and like Oscar Delp had a catch last night toward the end of the game, got tackled just short of the stick, and they had to, try to convert that. They don't have, it feels like, guys that are dynamic that can get open at any time,
or a player who's just going to take it to the house on a play that didn't go the right way.
Right. And they had that with Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey.
Yeah.
And they're so used to that and so spoiled by that. It's really weird to see that. And maybe that person's on the roster. We just haven't gotten to see them play as much, because you think about the level of talent at Georgia. There's somebody there who could catch the ball and outrun a defense.
Yeah.
There's somebody on that roster.
I mean, you feel good. Hopefully Ratledge is okay and things aren't you feel good about the offensive line. You feel good about the quarterback. I think you even feel really good about the running backs. But I just am not used to seeing Georgia struggle like that offensively for 4 quarters. Now, their defense is still nasty. They're going to be in every game that they play. I'm not trying to say the sky is falling, but we also have to take into consideration that when people view Georgia, they view a team that is just going to maul everybody and steal everyone's soul along the schedule. And if you go look at their schedule, it's an SEC schedule. I mean, in 2 weeks, we're going to really find out. They got an open week. Alabama has an open week. Let's go play some football in a few weeks.
Yeah, and their defense with the mobile quarterback, you saw Brock Vandegrift escaping at times. Now, not always. He got sacked a few times too. But his escapability allowed him to keep some plays alive. Jalen Milroe is a lot more escapable than Brock Vandagriff, and he's going to do a lot more with it when he can get out of the pocket and keep his eyes downfield. So,
and it looked like Kentucky was moving the ball on the ground pretty well there in the second half too, and some pretty crucial drives. They were picking up 3, 4, 5 yards a pop up the middle of their defense. So
yeah, Demi Sumo Kongbo had a decent game. He averaged about 4 yards a carry. So this is going to be an interesting couple of weeks in Athens. And like Kirby said, he has a chance to really get after them at practice. They having the open week, Ari, with a coaching staff like this and a roster like this, I feel like if you have some things you don't know, you can kind of figure them out, especially if there's some young players that they've been a little bit reluctant to put in games that maybe they're like, you know what? We need your skill set. Let's get you ready.
Yeah. And same goes for Alabama. They're both going to have an extra week. They're both going to, take a rest. I'm super excited about what we saw in Madison from the Crimson Tide on Saturday firsthand. Ryan Williams is a 17-year-old who's out there just embarrassing everybody. They've got a lot of talent too, obviously. Super excited for what should be one of the games of the year.
It's going to be amazing. That's the new SEC that feels like they're coming all the time. You got Tennessee, Oklahoma this week, Alabama, Georgia next week. God.
No such thing as a bad Saturday slate in college football.
No, it's and they're just going to get better from here. Thanks so much for watching.
And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel wherever you listen to your podcasts and leave a 5-star review.